Okay, we are finally on to the third episode of the Monochromatic reading vlog series, which means I think we're about halfway through. Yeah, we're about halfway through. This is the third one out of 7, so like kind of. Ignore the sounds of cars outside. Like they're far away and I can still hear them. Dear God. I may have already started reading for this vlog, so I will end with that book. But first I'm going to go through what each of the books I'm going to read are for this vlog. I'm filming this earlier than I officially planned, mostly because every single one of the ones that I could get from the library, which are 4 of them, I got, I think I got one of them yesterday. One that I was on the wait list for, I got yesterday. And so I just got the other 3 because they were available this morning / yesterday afternoon. So we're here to do it. The one that I can't get from the library is the one I'll talk about first, which is Twice Shy. I think that's the name of it. All I know is that it's a contemporary romance, and sometimes a girl needs a contemporary romance. Despite the fact that right now she's actually in the mood for horror thrillers. I don't know why I'm talking in third person, but I am. But yeah, it's a romance. That's all I know about it, really. And I don't know, that's the only one I don't know when I'm going to read it. There's Recursion by Blake Crouch. There's a 99% chance that I'm not saying any of these right, or I misremember the names or anything like that, but you know, that's fine. That one's a sci-fi. I don't remember if it's a sci-fi thriller, but it's definitely sci-fi. I've been wanting to get more into sci-fi, and like, he's just one of those authors that like I feel like everyone knows, especially if they're into sci-fi in general. I do like sci-fi movies and shows a lot. Like, a lot of my favorites are sci-fi, so like it makes sense that I would also like books that are sci-fi, and I did get the audiobook of it. So that's the one that was on the wait list. There is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. That's the other one, which is labeled as a thriller, which is intriguing. And I don't know in what way it's a thriller, but I am in the mood for horror thrillers right now, so it's perfect. I also have the audiobook of that one, and so I really know nothing about that one either, but I'll start it probably next week, as well as Recursion. One that I'm going to start today, but have not started it yet. I think I want to try to finish it today, as well as the other one that I've read today, is Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. I'm trying to get through like at least a lot of the more popular ones. This is one of the lesser popular ones, I'm pretty sure. At least it's one that I like hadn't even heard of until I was in college, so you know, there's that. But I really am hit or miss when it comes to Shakespeare, but there's a lot of adaptations, especially recently, of Shakespeare's, and Taming of the Shrew is one that has gotten a lot of adaptations, I feel like, recently, and I haven't read it yet, so like I don't get the references, and I wanna. So, and also I can read them fast, and it goes into my reading goal of reading 12 classics a year. And on top of that, so is the one that I've already read today. Here, I have to go to that show, which is The Yellow Wallpaper by the author's name I do not remember. It's like really short. I think my copy was like 46 pages. It's like really, really short. And it is also a horror about, I can actually say what this one is because I've read it. It is a horror book, a psychological horror, about a woman who is on a summer vacation, like her and her husband and like the nanny or housemaid, I don't know what her title is, and their child, are like their newborn baby, are on a summer vacation. Like, they rented out this house for 3 months, I think. I don't remember how time works, neither does she. But she's going through postpartum depression, and I did look up like all the symptoms afterwards to be like, and yeah, which is, I think this book came out in like the 1890s, so this is like really big deal for something that came out in the 1890s. But basically, her husband's a doctor, and he is very controlling and protective, but in a white man trying to control his wife and thinks he knows what's right, despite the fact that she, like, feels uncomfortable or any of this other stuff. And she's like, nah, I want to do this. This will make me feel better. And he's like, no, you got to do this, and that's what will make you feel better. And it's all in your head and all this fun stuff. And she's just like, basically, she's locked into this summer home for 3 months, and she goes crazy because of the yellow wallpaper. She starts seeing things, and then she feels like she's become one with the yellow wallpaper. And, yeah, that's it. It's very short. Basically about a controlling man, trying to control her, thinking that will make her better because he has to be right, and, her just trying to live her life, basically. And there's also, like, a thread at one point where if she doesn't get better by the end of the summer, he'll send her to a place, and, they're even worse than he is type situation. So she's, like, really scared, of that, and he starts getting weirder and weirder throughout the book, and, so does the nanny/maid. And then, but is she the one getting weirder? Because, she's seeing things. It's definitely a good psychological thriller. Like, I like, or not thriller, psychological horror, which I do generally like them. It just wasn't as much of a horror as I was expecting, but it was still good. Like, I'm giving it 3.5 stars, as a positive rating. Like, I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend if you want to read it. It's like, take you less than an hour. I think it took me like 40 minutes to read it. So, like, it takes, like, no time. And, yeah, that also went towards my classics goal. So, you know, that's that. I'm gonna go read The Taming of the Shrew. Hopefully finishing it today. I don't think I will update you tonight. I'll probably update you tomorrow, before I do sprints. So, there's that. And, yeah, I'll talk to you then. The Taming of the Shrew. Hear me out. If it had a similar horror writing style to the yellow wallpaper, maybe it'd be good. Okay, I have issues. Like, the writing style itself isn't bad. I, like, generally enjoy Shakespeare writing style and whatnot. It's the fact that it's supposed to be a comedy romance, and it reads more like a horror to me, like what is supposed to be a horror to me. But it's reading like a comedy, so I'm just confused in my brain. Also, that intro is so weird. Apparently the whole entire story is actually just a prank for a poor person, so we love that. I don't know. It starts with, this very rich guy finds a beggar on the street, and, decides to prank him by taking him to his house and dressing him up like a lord, and, making one of his, young gentleman workers, I don't remember what he did exactly, dress up as a woman to be the servant, or the, guy's wife, and, they pretend that he is a lord and all this stuff in a prank, and, like, that whole entire section ends with a bunch of musicians coming in to tell the story, and the story is the story of the Taming of the Shrew. And the story of the Taming of the Shrew, no. If it was a horror, hell yeah. Hear me out. Basically the plot is that there's this really rich guy. He's got 2 daughters. One of them, the younger one, is super beautiful and well-tamed and all this stuff, and everyone's in love with her. And then the older one is, quote-unquote, a shrew. She speaks her mind and whatnot. Is she a little bit abusive? Yes. But, you know, she's slapping people who are calling her the devil and saying that no one would marry her. So I'm so low-key fine with that. The part where she locks up her sister, very confused. But, you know, whatever. So he has this thing, their father does, where the younger one can't get married until the older one does, but everyone's in love with the younger one. So they make a plan. A bunch of people make a bunch of plans. So some rich people make plans to pretend to be their new school teachers so that they can romance the younger sister. Meanwhile, an old friend who wants a rich wife and does not care if she's beautiful or well-tamed or anything, decides that he is going to quote-unquote tame the shrew. He's gonna try to woo the older sister, which is actually just him saying that they're gonna get married and her being like, what? And then they get married. And then he quite literally emotionally abuses and low-key physically abuses her too, because he doesn't let her eat or sleep or anything for a very long period of time, until she just doesn't question anything he says. And that is how he tames the shrew, by abuse. And then one of the rich guys who's pretending to be a school teacher does woo the younger sister, and they get married in a trick, because he has like one of his servants pretend to be him, and then the father agrees to let technically who is really him marry his daughter, and then they also have someone pretending to be his father to be like, yes, she will get all this money if I die before my father does. And then the actual father shows up, and they like almost throw him into jail and abuse him for saying that he's the father when he's not, when he actually is. And then the father of Bianca, the daughter, is just like, no, what? My fridge turned on, we're ignoring that. What? And some people are not happy about that ruse. And then, at like the wedding party afterwards, one of the other guys who tried to marry Bianca has married a random widow. And so, like, Bianca and the widow don't really do anything that their husbands tell them to do. Like, they'll do little things, but, like, if they say, come here, your wife, they'll be like, no, I don't wanna, I'm hanging out with my friends. Like, no. But, the older sister, Catherine, totally does. And they're like, oh my god, you actually tamed the shrew. Look at you. And it does not actually say that, but it sounds like it would. Yeah, no, this is a horror, not a comedy romance. Thank you very much. I just vote we get Catherine out of there. So, Bianca as well, because that relationship is not based off of good things either, because, like, she married a guy who she thought was someone else and completely lied to her about his whole entire identity. Well, I guess he did try to tell her at one point who he actually is, and that his plan is to marry her. So I guess she low-key agreed to it, knowing who he is. But, like, the whole entire basis of their relationship is a ruse and a lie. And then for Catherine and Petruchio, I don't know. I think that's his name, but like, I actually know. All the men's names were exactly the same. It was very confusing. Like, their relationship is very clearly abusive, and I realize it's like the very early 1600s or late 1590s, but like, damn, can we get her out of there, please? Thanks. Bye. And yeah, I'm going with 2.5 because I was struggling between a 2 and a 3, because generally speaking, like, yeah, I like the writing style, and it was well written and all that fun stuff, but the story, I was like, no. Also, the characters were well written. Like, if only it had been a horror instead of a comedy, I would have had a good time. And that's why it's 2.5. And the next one I'm going to read is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, which I'm not going to be able to start until Monday, but that's fine. So I'll talk to you when I maybe get halfway through that one, because I like know nothing. I know absolutely nothing, except that I have the audiobook and it's like 11 hours. Maybe I can finish my embroidery in the time it takes me to read that whole entire book. Anyways, I'll talk to you all on Monday when I read some of that book. Yes, I'm back in this corner. I can't tell, I did film here for like the intro of the most recent weekend reading vlog, and I can't tell if it echoes in here or not, and it's just easier to film here at this exact moment, so I'm filming here. And yes, I am wearing a hoodie when it's like 85 degrees out, last I checked, but in my defense, it's only like 72 in the house, and I am a cold person generally, so, you know, I am wearing a hoodie in the middle of August. It's fine. It's fine. It is Monday the 15th, which I believe the last clip I filmed, I said I was going to start Grown today, which I have. I am 56% of the way through, and yeah, I don't think I'm gonna DNF it, which sounds weird because I do enjoy this book. I enjoy the writing style and all that fun stuff. It's just the subject matter is one of those ones that I just don't generally enjoy to read, so I tend to DNF them. But I think I'm gonna continue with this one. I'm gonna take a small break. I do want to. I'm gonna still try to read all of it today. We'll see. We'll see. Either way, I'll update you tomorrow morning. But I'm having a time. To get the general idea, Storygraph labels it as dark, emotional, intense. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Throw in the content warnings, and that sums it up. Speaking of which, if you're like even thinking about looking into this book, I recommend you check those out, because I checked them out before I picked it up. And also the book starts with it saying, hey, it includes this type of content, continue forward, knowing that. And so yeah, I knew beforehand, but still, I mean, I guess it's YA because the main character is 17, but subject-wise, I feel like it should be more of like a new adult slash adult. Like, it's got essay. YouTube does not like words. Essay, emotional abuse, physical abuse, low-key kidnapping. I think it's officially kidnapping at where I am. So when I last talked about it, I like knew nothing about it. So I can actually give you a rundown of what's happening in this book. Imagine that. And then I can give you my feelings and thoughts and what I think my rating's gonna be. But yes. Grown is a book about Enchanted, who is a 17-year-old high school student. Most of her life just revolves around wanting to be a singer, but she is from a lower income Black family in like a white neighborhood. I think there's like 10 students of color in their whole entire high school, and they go to private school. And she's got like 4 siblings, I think. She's got a bunch of younger siblings that she has to take care of, and she's part of this swim team, and she's got school and all this stuff, and her parents are very much big on focusing on that stuff and not on her singing, because singing isn't really a career to them type of situation. And then the book starts with her waking up, not remembering the night before, and there's dead bodies. And the police are at the door, and every once in a while it switches point of views from Enchanted's point of view directly to like a third person point of view, or court information, or autopsy stuff about that, but it's very rare. And then it also sometimes switches to like a group chat of like her friends, because like she's not near them. But it starts with that, and then it goes to her tricking her mom into letting her go to a singing competition, kind of like America's Got Talent. And they don't like let her through or whatnot, but this really famous singer who is 28 and she is 17, goes up to her and listen, was I already screaming at this point? Yes, but we're gonna ignore that part. He goes up to her and he's like, hey, I think you're great, and gives her tickets to his like next show, I think. And then they kind of start texting, and having conversations, and he hints that he wants to make her an act in his like tour and help her like make a single and all this stuff, and eventually she gets her parents to agree to let her to go. And it's very much of a like, I mean, it's not a consensual relationship because she's 17, but she is into the relationship. She's originally down, but then some things happen, including and not limited to leaving her in a locked room with nothing to eat or drink or anything for, I think, like 17 hours because she said hi to a guy one time, and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, at the point where I'm at, she has recognized that this is wrong. She wants to get out of the situation any way she can. She's trying to find ways to get out. He's trying to keep her around any way he possibly can, which includes keeping her locked in rooms for like weeks on end. And there's also the added stuff where he keeps on saying stuff about her family. And also, I'm pretty sure like he's blocking her contact to like anyone. Like he steals her phone and all this stuff. But, like, she finds a way to get to a computer so she can send emails, and the email doesn't even, like, go through. And so, I'm pretty sure he's, like, blocking her contact with the outside world. A different girl named Candy, I believe, has come out with stories from when he was, I believe, 24, so 4 years prior, when she was 14, of similar stories. There's quite literally, like, her stuff starts right after the first time he locks her into a room for, like, 16 hours or something. And Jet is like, there's no way he would ever lock someone into a room and all this stuff. I'm like, girl, please. But yes, it's over a period of time. He starts grooming her so that as soon as he separates her from her parents by taking her on this tour, he can control the whole entire relationship. And yeah. I mean, you know from the beginning that he's gonna die, and so I'm intrigued. There's like a little bit of a mystery in there, and I'm intrigued by that part. And then I'm just on the edge of my seat, sometimes actually screaming about the aspect of their relationship. And that's kind of what's happening. That's basically what's happening. I'm just screaming. I definitely need a break. This book is not one that you should do in one day if you do read it. Like, don't read it all in one day. Don't do what I do. I am not a good example. But I'm gonna do it because I'm crazy. I'm just gonna take a break and watch some YouTube or something, because like I need to give my brain a break. Every like 5 minutes I seem to be pausing the audiobook, like the length of it mixed with the 3 times speed, because I listen to things at 3 times speed. I should have finished it, or I should be on the last like hour of the audiobook like now, but I'm only like just over halfway through. I think with 3 times speed I have about an hour and a half, and I'm supposed to have like 20 minutes left. So like that's what's happening. Which isn't anything against the book itself. Is the topic is very heavy, and I'm having a hard time getting through with the subject matter. But the writing style itself is great, and the narrator's great as well as in the audiobook. So like there's that. And I'll definitely pick up a Tiffany D. Jackson. I think I have a few others on my Goodreads TBR. But yeah, I'm gonna continue with this and try to finish it tonight, so I can update you tomorrow, and also give you a rundown of what Recursion is tomorrow, so that I can start that book and hopefully read it also in one day. Yes, I did almost break my nail doing that. It's fine. I talk with my hands. My hands should be used to it. And yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Well, it is Tuesday, and I did finish Rowan last night. I wasn't expecting to actually finish it. Like, I was just sitting there embroidering. Like, I guess I should like listen to the last, like, I think it was 2 hours, just under 2 hours of the audiobook, because I took a break and watched like 5 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. It's fine. And so I was like, you know what, I guess I'll read some more while I embroider. And I finished the section I was on just as like the audiobook finished. So I was not expecting to actually read it all yesterday, especially with such a heavy topic, but I did. And I'm going with 4 stars. The last like quarter or so was after she got free and leading up to when he gets murdered, and then the police just assuming that she's the one that did it, and her trying to figure out who actually did it. And it's a time. It definitely has a lot of very important conversations about why a Black woman, we like don't believe them, we don't protect them, and if it was a white woman, he would have like instantly gone to jail already and all this stuff. But the minute they realized it was a Black woman, like they were gaslighting her like the police were, and they're just like, and the only reason people started to believe her is because there were like dozens of, I think it said something like a dozen and a half, maybe, a woman who signed a thing, but also like with her help, the police found like all his nanny cams that he used to record everything. And so there's like dozens of women and they're like, oh, okay. And that's when they believed her. Imagine that. I honestly really expected it to be another one of his victims being the one to have done it, but it wasn't, so. And I don't really get why who did it, but that's fine. The writing style was still good. The purpose of the book, yes. The plot itself, yeah, I guess. The ending of the mystery thriller portion of it was kind of iffy. So the plot's like fine, whatever. I still like, it's a good book if you can handle it. It's got a lot of important topics and conversations in it. But that's like if you can handle it, because it's very heavy. And I'm going with 4 stars because that ending, there was some stuff in the ending that I was just sitting there just like, I'm confused, and I'm just gonna quit that as my life, and that's fine. It's a good book. I'm glad I finally read it, and I definitely will pick up another Tiffany D. Jackson because, like, I really liked her writing style. And I'm moving on into Recursion today. I don't know if I will read the whole thing today because it is a much longer audiobook. I think it's something like 11 hours, just under 11 hours. But the page number for like physical book is about the same as Grown, and that one was just over 8 hours, so I don't understand. Maybe this one's slower paced because Grown was kind of a fast-paced audiobook. So maybe that's why, maybe it's slower paced, so we'll see. But I did glimpse at the synopsis last night of Recursion, so I can actually tell you what this is. This is gonna be my first Blake Crouch, which, like, when I think of sci-fi books, the first 2 names that pop into my head are Blake Crouch, with like Dark Matter, Recursion, the new one, which is Upgrade, and then Andy Weir with The Martian and Hail Mary. Actually, I think on Goodreads, when you go onto the Recursion, next on the top corner where it says recommended by those who enjoy this book, and it's like Hail Mary's right there. So it's honestly a surprise I haven't read anything from either one of them. But I want to get more into sci-fi literature. I watch a lot of sci-fi. One of my favorite movies of all time is sci-fi. So, like, I should enjoy sci-fi books. And I think, like, his are pretty much a safe bet to go into because a lot of people enjoy them. Like, Dark Matter is pretty popular, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. But I mean, that's probably for the Red Reading Box. I will read that one too for this. But Recursion is also cop thriller, which I was not expecting. Basically some weird stuff's going down with dreams. Like, it said a bunch of stuff about dreams and memories in the synopses, and I understood about a third of it, and so that's fun. I assume I'll understand more once I finish the book, but yeah, basically weird things are happening to memories, and it's causing people to kill people, and there's a cop who's like, hey, this is a little suspicious, and then there's a doctor, and she thinks that she's found a way to make it so you, like, can keep your memories forever, and you can relive them, type of thing. But then there comes into stuff of, like, someone, like, taking the memories or changing memories, something like that's happening. And so they have to work together to figure out what is happening before everything goes knipshit. That's that's the phrase I'll use. And yeah, that's basically the book from the synopsis. And I don't really know if I'll enjoy it. I've read a few cop mystery thrillers before, and they're fine generally. So I don't know if I'll like that aspect. But I'm mostly here for the sci-fi part, not the thriller part, which is weird because I'm in a mystery thriller mood. So, but I'm mostly here to see if I like sci-fi. So, yeah, I'm gonna finally finish it, like actually pick up this book. I think this book's been on my Goodreads TBR since like middle to early 2020. Like, it's been there for a while. So at least I finally will read it. But yeah, I don't know. I may update you halfway through. It really just depends. I'll definitely update you one way or another tomorrow if I finish it or not. So there's that. And yeah, I'll talk to you either later on today or tomorrow. I can't tell if it is echoey down here or not. I really can't. Like, I tried to see from the weekend vlog if it echoes down here or not. I can't tell. I'm just going to continue to film here until someone tells me it is echoey. Okay, thank you. Night. That's what happens when giant areas empty for the most part. But I did finish Recursion today at like 3:30 p.m. and it's almost 4:30. So, you know, I've had some time to sit on it. It is split into 5 parts, and the first part went how I expected the whole book to go, really, where the detective guy, whose name I don't remember already, is investigating what's going on with all these memory things, because he sees a woman who went through it and came back to the original timeline with both memories, and the not being able to handle that causes her to I'm trying to think of terminology that YouTube will not dislike. He tries to talk her down, and then afterwards he notices the pattern of these instances with people having memories that aren't actual memories, and how other people also have those memories, and it's this whole thing. And so he goes into investigating it, but also does like a back and forth with a different thing in the past with the woman who created the device that makes it possible to do this, to go back into your memories and change it. But around the beginning of book, or part 2, split into books, not parts, but you know, whatever. It's basically pretty easily realized from the 2 point of views that when you go back into your memories and change something, it like changes the whole timeline, and things happen, and people, when you like meet up with people at an exact time as when you went to change stuff, they get all the memories back of what originally was supposed to happen. And that's when it gets too much for people, and they do drastic things. And it really went places I was not expecting. Eventually they like work together and try to find a way to make it so there is no way that anyone knows about this device, because governments, but also people in general using this device, it goes sideways very fast. And so they work together to, the doctor and the detective guy, you know, I think her name's like Helena or Helen or something like that. something like that. They work together to try to stop that from ever happening, and in general, stopping it from being created at all. And it goes places, does things. I don't want to spoil anything, that's the problem. It has a lot of conversations I wasn't expecting, and it really didn't go where I was expecting, which is fun for me. And I do like timeline stuff, because like it's a lot of weird timeline stuff, and that's generally my favorite subgenre in sci-fi, is like time stuff. You know how I was like at 9 watching Doctor Who? That's probably what did it. But because of that, I like weird time, multi-timeline, just time travel, weird time flippy floppy stuff. I don't know. Anything to do with time and sci-fi, I generally like as TV shows and movies. So I wasn't surprised that I liked it more when I went weird timeliney. And I can see why people wouldn't like that, but that's just kind of like my speed. Before that, it was like meh. I was like, okay, whatever. But I really like how it ended, and then the timeline stuff, which is probably the stuff that people dislike the most if you are someone who read it and didn't like it. So, you know, love that for me. Like, it wasn't so groundbreaking that I'm giving it 4 stars, but it's definitely more than I expected it to be. Because most of the time I was just sitting there like, you know, I'm gonna probably rate it 3 stars. It's not doing anything for me. But I'm going with a 3.5 because it's purely because of the timeline stuff, the weird timeline stuff, the way it ended, very open-ended. I enjoyed. It's a good time. It also goes into a bunch of stuff into like character study type stuff, and into what makes a person, and if it, like with memories and such like that, which kind of like parallels the whole entire reason why this machine was made. She made it because her mother is sick with Alzheimer's, I believe, and so she was trying to find a way to cure Alzheimer's, and that's why the machine was made in the first place. And so kind of like parallels that with a bunch of things. It was just good. The writing style was fun. I mean, I'm gonna pick up Dark Matter for the red version of this, so like we already know this. It's fine. So, and that's the one that people generally like more, I think, out of these two, which I'm pretty sure are the 2 that he's known for. And so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I liked it. And you know, it's a good time. And that's where I'm gonna leave that off. Twice Shy, I will start tomorrow. I should have looked up the synopsis before I came and sat down to film this, because now I'm gonna have to go look at the synopsis and then come right back over and film what the heck that book is. So like, cue 5 minutes in the future me talking about Twice Shy, because I do not know other than that it's a contemporary romance. Okay, Twice Shy, synopsis read. Am I about to go read? No, not right now, because I'm about to go read, and right now, a Triceratops romance. That's like 13 pages long. You don't need to worry about that. It's fine. Stay tuned for the wrap up for that bad boy. But tomorrow, am I gonna go and read a contemporary romance? Even though I'm in a horror thriller mystery mood right now. Yes, and that is fine. We are accepting it. It's pretty short. I think it's like the edition that automatically pulls up when I look it up on Goodreads is only like 300 pages, like it's 304 or something. I think my copy's like 250 or something. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know anything. So I think it's pretty short, which is good because it has low ratings. This is the one, other than Grown, I was pretty sure I made DNF because it has a 3.74 on Goodreads, which is not particularly bad in general ratings wise, but in Goodreads rating wise, yeah, that's bad. We're scared. From what I can tell, it's a not really grumpy sunshine, but more like a shy person grumpy romance. Basically, I think her name's Mabel. I just read this. Like, I read it, ran right over here, and I still automatically forgot her name. I didn't forget his name, but I forgot hers. I think it's Maybell. She is a dreamer, likes to live in the clouds, to avoid her problems, from what I understand from the first paragraph of that synopsis, which, like, mood, same, I feel you. But then a family member, I think it's like a great aunt, dies and leaves her house. So she goes to live there. But turns out it's not what you expected. Like, it's falling apart and all this stuff. And she has to share it with Wesley, the groundskeeper, and they have different visions for what to do with the house. And so she has to try to talk him into, like, even talking to her and listening to her, so they can figure out what to do and how to compromise on this house. And then there's apparently, like, other wishes the great aunt or whoever had that she has to go through with. But in doing this, romance blooms, and I assume some kissing. I don't know. I don't even know if there's spicy dance scenes. I mean, I don't think so, because it's only 300 pages, but I hope so for my sanity, because, like, 300 pages of contemporary romance where all I get to see is just some light kissing. Especially when I'm in mystery thriller mood. Fam, am I okay? The answer's no, but that's fine. We're gonna go with it. I'm gonna read it tomorrow. I don't know how far I'll get into it tomorrow. I mean, it's pretty short, but I tend to read contemporary romances kind of slowly, so we'll see. I have not read a Sarah Hogle before because I've heard mixed things about her other books. So I don't know why this one, I was like, yeah, I want to read this one. And then I also want to put it in a video. But it's the one that I'm reading. And it's going in this video. And yeah. I mean, I guess that's all I've got to say about it because I haven't started it or anything. That one I'll probably will update you halfway through, because I want to try to get at least that far tomorrow. And I'll have time to do that tomorrow, so. We got limited time because, like, sprints start in, like, 5 minutes. We don't need to talk about that. But I started twice shy. I started yesterday, Thursday. Yes, this goes up Saturday. No, we do not have to talk about it. I read exactly 200 pages, so that's fun. I have 120 left, so I can definitely finish it today. And I'm enjoying it. I looked up a bunch of reviews, just like glimpse at them, of people who didn't enjoy the book. Because most people that I follow who've read it, no, everyone I follow that have read it, rated it 4 or 5 stars. So I was very confused on why I had such a low rating on Goodreads. So I looked at some reviews, and people who rated 3 stars or lower just tend to find Maybell's character a little difficult to enjoy reading about, especially in a romance aspect. And so, which I understand, like, now that I've read some of it, I understand. She's definitely one of those characters where, like, when I read a romance, at least, usually I want a strong woman, or at least someone who, like, multifaceted, all this stuff. Maybell is very much not that. She's very much a, lets people walk all over her type of person. And, it takes a lot of work for her to say what she thinks and such. And so she's a difficult character to read about and enjoy the book. And I understand that. I just don't mind. I like her character, actually. And I've laughed quite a few times. There was a great Twilight reference. And I was a bit actually worried about Wesley, because the grumpy sunshine aspect wasn't doing it for me for the longest time, because his grumpiness, I was just like, he's rude for no reason. And we haven't officially learned why he's rude where I'm at, because it took like 130 pages for it to start being somewhat romance, like not even full on romance, just him being nice to her for 5 seconds. And so, like, it was a lot of him being rude to her, ignoring her, all this stuff. And now that we've gotten out of that aspect, it is definitely more enjoyable. I definitely wish it was more like 100 pages instead of 130 pages of that, but that's fine. And it's not full-on romance yet. Like, she's definitely into him, and she's trying to not be into him because, like, they have to work together and they live together technically and all this stuff. But, you know, it's not going well for her. She's like, I should not fall in love with him because that would cause problems. And then, like, 2 pages later, I've fallen in love. Yeah, no, it's really funny at points, and I really enjoy it. I don't know, maybe it's just me because, I mean, it's clearly not me because everyone who I follow on Goodreads who's read it has really enjoyed it as well. But I feel like a lot of the contemporary romances that people generally don't like, I tend to really enjoy. Because this is, I think, the second time I can think of on the top of my head that this has happened. Because the Boyfriend Project, that happened too, where I, like, really enjoyed that book and most people did not. So, I don't know. Maybe it's because, like, from what I've read, her other book, which I have not read, is completely different. And so people were going in expecting something similar to that, and instead they get this. Yeah, between Mabel as a character and that, I can see why people don't enjoy it, but I didn't have any preconceived notions except for that people generally don't like it, and I'm actually having a good time. Except Gemma can fight me, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. She's really not a nice person. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm really enjoying it. Sprints were supposed to start, like, right now, so I'm gonna go. And I'll let you know when I finish it and when I rate it. I'm feeling either a 3.5 or a 4 right now. Not sure. Okay, and the biggest surprise of the season, not only did I love Twice Shy, I loved it while being in a mystery thriller / horror mood. Okay, I don't understand how this happened, but it did. Why did I love this book so much? I'm first gonna say it's nighttime. It is 8:33 p.m. and I just finished it. So there's some type of insect outside making noises like crazy, but we're gonna ignore that because I finished it and this vlog has to go up tomorrow. So but Twice Shy was great. I don't know if I'll ever read her other book, the one that's already out, because there's another one that's supposed to come out this year, I think. But I think it's called You Deserved Each Other. I don't know if I'll ever read that one because generally for people who like that one, they don't like this one. And this one I clearly loved. I don't understand what happened. I'm sorry, H, but it may take The Wicker King out for best book of the month. Like, honestly, what is happening? But that is fine. I guess I should tell you something about this book because I don't remember if I actually really went into it because I was in a hurry. But basically, Mabel wants to turn the house that she inherits from her great aunt into an inn. Or a hotel, an inn. And Wesley wants to turn it into a farm or an animal sanctuary. And so they kind of have like a lot of competing ideas of what to do with stuff, and it causes a lot of animosity. And then also the way that he works personally is that he tends to start off standoffish with people to protect himself so he doesn't have to talk with people, except she's just Mabel, so she just continues trying and breaks down his walls, and we get that sweet romance. I had a good time. The fridge turned on. Listen, I had a good time. The romance itself, God, I was dying. I was actually dying. I kept on making weird screeching noises like a gremlin. Like, it took a long time to get there. Like, I wish it would have been only about 100 pages of the before stuff, and then we start getting hints of the romance, or at least him being nicer to her earlier on. And then we get the romance, and then like the last, whatever, 30 pages being whatever it was. And that's like my only real complaint. Like, it was pretty slow in the beginning, with no payoff for a very long time. Was I a very happy being when that payoff happened? Yes. But, you know, still. so surprised, but I'm going with 4.5 stars. I was trying to decide between 4 and 4.5. I originally thought this was going to be a 3-star at most before I even started this book, and I'm an idiot because this was great. I don't know. Maybe I just like should only read contemporary romances that other people don't like. That is an option I'm gonna go with because 2 of my favorite contemporary romances are books that people generally don't like, but I loved. I think it's because the main character, usually, which is the case in this one. I know people don't like Mabel usually, but I loved her. I was vibing. The comedy in this was great. That's a real important thing for me in romance books, is if they want to do the humor route, it's got to actually work for me. And it did it good, fam. And the romance is good, and it was just a little too slow in the beginning, but otherwise this was great. I'm going 4.5 stars, which means I think it's officially the winner of this vlog. Honestly, I don't know what's happened. This is a whirlwind, and I'm just gonna go edit this whole thing, but first I gotta do a rundown of everything that happened. For some reason, I've decided to add in a little extra stuff about Twice Shy because I don't feel like I did it justice, especially for the book that I like the most for this vlog, which is disappointing in myself. But I didn't want to say much because like I felt like it was spoilers, but it's really not. It happened, like, you learn it in like the first few pages. But basically, Mabel works at this water park / resort type situation. She's been a housekeeper, like cleaner there, for her whole entire life, basically, since she turned 18. So her whole entire adult life. And she's recently become the person who's in charge of events, but they won't actually like accept any of her event planning or anything. Like any event she plans, she's just like, no. And she's very upset about that, on top of the fact that the whole entire reason she got this promotion is because who was supposed to be her best friend, I'm not gonna say what she does, but she does some pretty not great things. It made me very stabby. Like, if I was in this book and I met her, I would totally stabby. It's fine. I don't have issues, YouTube. Please, FBI, don't notice anything. I have issues, especially with toxic friendships. And poor Mabel. And she knew she should have stood up for herself, but she doesn't have the strength in herself in the beginning of this book to do it. But the best friend is also the owner of the resort's daughter, who basically has the job and is paid, I think, something like $2 extra an hour to do nothing. She just sneaks around into the arcade all the time, and got the job after she got fired from a bunch of other jobs, and she only got the job because her dad owns it. And the only reason Mabel got the promotion is so that the whole entire, like, really crappy thing she did to her could just be pushed on the rug and be fine. And then eventually she learns that she got her great aunt's estate and decides to go move out there and live the life she's wanted. And so she quits her job. Which, like, yeah. And then finds out when she gets there that Wesley's there and he co-owns the place. And there's a lot of stuff with that. A good chunk of the book is her realizing her dreams and how she's going to make them into reality. Like, anything that is not the romance, that's usually what's happening. But she does it, so, like, an icon. First up was the yellow wallpaper, which was very interesting and very short, and I do recommend. And that was 3.5 stars. And then I read The Taming of the Shrew, which I wish was a horror. Or it was a horror, but written as a comedy. It feels like current day, it should have been a horror. But back then, it was a comedy romance. But even back then, people were like, a little suspicious, my dude, apparently. So, you know, there's that. So that one's a 2.5. You know, that 0.5 is just because of the writing. Because I do like Shakespeare's writing, but if it wasn't for the fact that it's just Shakespeare's writing and I enjoy it, it would be a solid 2, because if it was not good, I did not have a good time. I'm sorry. There was Grown, which was an option to throw in one day. Listen, if I had more time over the weekend, this past weekend, I would have spent the whole entire weekend just reading Grown and taking my time with it, but I didn't. And I'm sad about that, but I still enjoyed the book in general. But it's an experience that it was a time, and it was 4 stars. I do recommend Tiffany D. Jackson as a writer in general. So there's that came out of that, which is great. And I am excited to pick up her other books. And then there was Recursion by Blake Crouch, which, you know, was a positive outcome. I think it was 3.5 stars. So, you know, I'm not that scared to pick up Dark Matter later on in that vlog. So, you know, that's exciting. And then we get the surprise of surprises. Twice Shy. The fact that I almost switched out this book for another one because I was like, it has such low ratings, so I really want to read it. And then I'm like, well, I never have time to read romance books. I might as well put it in a vlog. And then I'm in a mystery thriller mood, but I still read it and I have a good time. The way that my least favorite book was the first day that I filmed for this vlog. And here I am. This was a great time. At least the last 4, or last 3, not the last 4. But the last 3 books were a great time. The last book was a great time. I'm not gonna say Grown was a great time. It was an interesting time. It was a great time. And you know, I'm thriving in this exact moment because I just finished Twice Shy and I don't need to worry about anything else. Except possibly putting it on my favorite shelf because anyways, moving on. Okay, we are here at the outro. Is this when I filmed the weird bit where I go back into talk about Twice Shy because I didn't do it justice? Yes, we're not talking about that. Link below is all my social media, including, most importantly, my Goodreads, so Storygraph, whichever one you prefer, and my Instagram. I update both of them regularly if you want to know what books I'm reading in that moment. Goodreads is usually the way to go, but if you want to know what I'm reading books before the vlog comes out, Instagram is the way to go, because I do post a little thing on there on my stories, and also I've been posting general book trackers and favorites of the months on Instagram more, as well as reviews. The reviews themselves also go up on Goodreads and Storygraph, so it doesn't matter either way, but like, also if you want to like give me some attention there, that'd be nice. I'm just saying. But don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff. And thank you for coming to this video. But the next one in the series comes out in November, so stay tuned for that. And then if you're interested in the fact that I keep on mentioning the red one, that's going down in December. Cough, cough. Yeah, I've planned all the videos. Don't worry about it. I planned a bunch of things ahead of schedule. I'm weird like that. We're gonna ignore it. We're gonna just say bye. Thank you for coming. And this has been fun. You know, I'm in a good mood now. But it's hot and I need to edit this video, so I'm gonna go. And I'll see you all in the next video.